This is Michael Bagram, Monday the 15th of June 2020, the Democratic Alliance Labour spokesperson. We have had now 2 weeks since the opening of the workforce under Level 3. Employers can claim the TERS payment if their employees take off for under 2 weeks if they get sick and contract the virus at work. Most employees contract the virus, they overcome it, and they then declared clear and can come back to work. However, if the employees are positive and need longer time off for the illness, then the employer must lodge a claim with the Workmen's Compensation Fund. That claim would then be assessed by the Workmen's Compensation Fund, and the Commissioner would then either approve the claim or not. If, however, the claim, after having been lodged, is accepted, then that employee's medical costs ideally should be paid by the fund, and the employer would pay anything up to 3 months' worth of salary whilst the employee is at home recovering from the illness or in hospital recovering from the illness. The fund would then have to repay the employer the salaries that have been advanced to the employees. Now, unfortunately, the fund has, over the last 20 years, been completely dysfunctional. And many employers have reported to me over these last decade at least that they're not getting the payment back from the fund. Many of the medical experts and medical doctors, hospitals, clinics are saying that the fund don't pay them back and they don't want to see these patients. This is going to create a real problem as more and more people do get sick at work and contract positivity from the virus, the COVID-19 virus. Obviously, if the fund is going to assess it and they're going to say that the claim is sustainable, then they should be paying those medical costs, and the employer should pay the salaries, and in turn the employer could claim the salaries back from the Workmen's Compensation Fund. Well, I wouldn't hold my breath, because many employers are telling us that this doesn't happen, that they don't get the money back. So we've seen the first 2 weeks. Of course, as we're going to see more and more claims of this nature come to the fore over the next few months. And there's going to probably be a deluge of these claims against the fund. And I'm hoping that this dysfunctionality of the fund would be tackled now while we can. So I'm appealing to the Commissioner to have a look at this. Mr. Mafata, please have a look at this very carefully. Assess it, come back to the community, the working community of South Africa, tell them that you will be paying their medical costs, you will be refunding the employers their salaries, and that at the end of the day the fund will be a lot more functional. I'm hoping that you don't have the same disaster we saw with the UIF and the TERS claims, where most of it was dysfunctional completely. I'm hoping that now that you've got some breathing space, that you, as the Commissioner of the Workmen's Compensation Fund, can have a look at it carefully. Turn to the private sector if you believe that would help. Turn to the private sector and ask them, the medical aids, the big insurance companies, ask them if they can provide some help. It shouldn't cost too much. The money is there in the Workmen's Compensation Fund, but we want people to be able to see and get the correct medical help. We want people to get their salaries back. We don't want the workforce of South Africa to be treated like the UIF treated the workforce of South Africa. So already within that first 2 weeks, we've seen 367 claims submitted already. We're waiting to see how many more are being assessed, how many more have been sent through. But please, Mr. Mafata, use this time now. Get yourself ready for the tsunami of claims that would be coming. Let's not face the same disaster that we saw with the UIF. Thank you for listening to me. Michael Bagram, DA Labour spokesperson, 15th of June 2020.